Duolingo promised to make learning fun, but today millions of users feel frustrated. What's the culprit? It's AI. In this UX case study, we'll break down what's gone wrong and how we could fix it. Now, along the way, I'm going to show you the exact UX activities that could have prevented these issues. And we're going to show some real examples of their outputs as well. Duolingo is the world's biggest language app with 74 million monthly users, and that's likely to be growing as well. Now, for many, it's their first step toward fluency in another language of their choice, and the brand has become a household name. But when a product built on trust and learning starts to slip, it's not just a UX issue. It impacts education worldwide and potentially billions in market value. So let's look at the problems users are raising and the UX methods that could set things right. Well, our first one, of course, we are talking about the AI black box. Now, users are reporting confusing lessons, fewer explanations, and repetitive, almost robotic content. Now, since Duolingo cut many human linguist roles, people suspect lessons are now fully AI driven. And what's the result? Well, learners guess instead of grasping. But how could you fix that using UX? Well, add an explain this button, for example. Now, this could reintroduce short grammar notes and mark trusted lessons with a human verified badge. Now, the activity that you could run, now this could be a content audit or think aloud test. So this is where a content audit systematically checks all lessons for clarity and tone and consistency. Now, the output is usually a structured grid or checklist, highlighting where content repeats and where explanations vanish and where tones feel basically just off. But then think aloud test exposes the human side. Now, this is where you give users a lesson and ask them to say out loud what they understand or what they don't understand. But the transcript from this test is, see, this is gold. This is where the real value is. Now, you literally see where the app forces people to guess. Now, when you pair the data that comes from these tests together, or what I would like to call you triangulate the layers of data, what that does is that it can show not just what's wrong, but why it breaks trust. Okay, so our second one, gamification overdrive. Duolingo is known for its gamification, of course. It's quite famous for that. But gamification used to motivate learners in this context, well, the balance has tipped somewhat now. Now, users admit that they just play the app just to protect their streak without necessarily absorbing the language. So that's not really education now, is it? Duolingo has accidentally trained people to win points, not necessarily learn words. Now, how could you fix that? Well, you could, for example, recenter the app on mastery instead. So this means that adaptive mastery challenges, stronger practice modes such as dictation and difficulty. See, that toggle lets learners push themselves in different directions and forces themselves to master a language and not just to remember things in a different context. Now, what could you do as a UX activity? Well, I would probably like to do a JTBD mapping, so jobs to be done mapping. See, this uncovers the real reason someone uses a product. So in this case, the job isn't to hit a 365-day streak. No, it's to communicate a new language. Now, a JTBD map is usually a chart with 3 parts. So the job, the pain, and the gains. Now for Duolingo, the pain is I feel progress, but I can't actually speak. The gain is I can hold a real conversation. Now, this activity produces clarity at the leadership level, and it forces the team to ask, are we serving streaks or are we serving fluency? Okay, so finding number 3, the erosion of trust. Now, the Duo Owl was once a friendly, cheeky mascot, but now, well, with the AI-driven lessons and layoffs, some users feel the brand has lost its human touch. So emotional trust is basically eroding. But how could you fix that using a UX approach, an experience design approach? Well, you could try rebuilding trust by, for example, making leadership transparent about where AI is used and how, and co-create lessons and content with teachers instead of just having it completely machine driven, whether that be AI, automated intelligence, artificial intelligence, whatever you call it. But then you can also celebrate actual learning moments, not just streak milestones. Okay, so what's the UX activity that we could do? Well, we could do two actually, a diary study and sentiment analysis. So once again, we're going down the triangulation route of using multiple layers of data from more than one test and laying them on top of each other to get a much more detailed or pinpoint understanding. Now, diary studies, they capture real usage over time. Now, a learner might jot down, for example, day 4, confused by repeated exercise, no explanation, right? These journals highlight the emotional highs and lows that single usability sessions basically just might miss. But when you put them together, you get real good context. Now, sentiment analysis scales that up. Now, by analyzing reviews, tweets, forum posts, you're going to start to see patterns in trust and frustration at volume. So you're talking about quant data as well now. With a simple sentiment graph, that can reveal where learners are inspired and where they actually feel betrayed. Now, you combine these outputs. See, this can help leaders to understand that it's not just the usability issues that exist, but the emotional cost of design choices as well. So onto our leadership insight. Now, if you were leading UX at Duolingo, what would you do? Well, given that this is a case study, I'll tell you what I would do. I would run 2 UX workshops immediately. Now, I'd run AI audits and sentiment mapping, not or, but and. So we're running multiple exercises, once again, triangulation. Now, the team reviews flawed AI sentences side by side with real user feedback. Now, what this is going to do, this is going to create an undeniable link between product shortcuts and user pain, and that will identify actually what's at fault, where and how when it comes to the AI audit. But then also learning loop redesign. Now here, what we do is we sketch the ideal learner journey with the jobs to be done guiding the structure. Now, instead of just like streak pressure, the loop emphasizes mastery milestones and positive reinforcement. Now, both workshops, they produce tangible outputs like redesigning journey maps that leadership can take straight into planning. And in fact, these are the types of, you could say, deliverables that they could even use in the boardroom with other types of discussions as well. So let's just wrap this up. Duolingo's challenges boil down to 3 things: transparency, balance, and trust. Now, the fixes aren't just magic. They're rooted in UX fundamentals. Now, by bringing back clear explanations, recalibrating gamification, and rebuilding emotional trust, Duolingo could return to what made it great: joyful, effective, really good learning. Now, thanks for staying with me through this breakdown. Stay present, stay curious. I'll see you in the next video.